Hello, welcome back, and as always, I hope you're doing well. Right, you may have noticed at the end of my videos lately, I have been putting on some adverts for Bruce Lee Forever, you know, Steve Carriage's website, where they're using photographs, and the photographs are actually moving. Obviously, it's done with AI. Now, AI is a very divisive subject when it comes to movies and music, and Bruce Lee especially. Now, I've been using AI on image enhancement and one thing and another for quite some time now, but now we're in the realms of deepfake and voice cloning and all of this jazz. I thought it's a subject that would be interesting to do and open up some good dialogue with you lot. I'm going to go through a little bit with you because I actually asked, the irony here, AI, and after that I had a candid chat with Steve Carriage last night about this on Zoom, so I've recorded that, so I'm going to include that in here. So the 12-minute video I intended to do, it's going to be a little bit longer, so I hope you enjoy it. Right, so what I decided to do, because over the years there's been CGI, you remember the Johnny Walker advert that Shannon Lee herself signed off on, the Bruce Lee estate, the whiskey advert. There's been CGI of Bruce Lee for a long time, and if you type in deepfake on YouTube, there's quite a lot of it done on there. So anyway, I asked Microsoft's AI Copilot to write a piece on AI using Bruce Lee's image, video and his voice.
Are you serious?
So this is what AI came back with. Using AI to analyse and enhance Bruce Lee's images, videos and voice. It's a fascinating intersection of technology, film and martial arts history. AI can be employed in several ways to bring new insights and experiences to Bruce Lee's legacy. Okay, let's get into it. Image enhancement and restoration. AI algorithms can restore old or damaged photographs of Bruce Lee, enhancing their quality and bringing out details that were previously obscured. This can be particularly valuable for preserving historical records and making them accessible to new generations of fans. Now, I'm really on board with this technology, to be honest with you. I've been using it for a while. It's built into Photoshop now, and as you can see by this image of Bruce Lee from The Big Boss, for me this is a good example of AI bringing out detail and making the picture, in my humble opinion, look better. We do remember the book that came out, Bruce Lee in My Own Process, put out by Genesis, and Genesis said they wanted to save the historic document, and if you go onto Amazon, the conversations are all over the place. Some people are outraged that they would put out such images now. You still got the historical document, but now you can enhance them to make the book look more aesthetically pleasing, if that's the right word. It can be overdone. If you go onto Pinterest, it does seem some people just overdo it, and you think, wow, I've never seen that picture of Bruce before. You click on it and it looks really strange, but it's interesting though. Right, I also asked AI about deepfake technology. Whilst controversial, deepfake technology can be used to create realistic videos of Bruce Lee, allowing him to appear in new films or advertisements. This raises ethical questions about consent and the use of a deceased person's likeness, but it also opens up possibilities for creative storytelling. I quite like this technology, I do. It's very, very clever. It could be cool. Going along with his voice cloning, which I'll get to in a little while, it could be good for advertisements if it's done correctly. It's subjective, I know. Right, the next one. Motion analysis. AI can analyse Bruce Lee's movements in his movies, breaking down his martial arts techniques with precision. This can be used for educational purposes, helping martial artists learn from one of the greatest masters by studying his form and technique in detail. I think this is kind of obvious anyway. You often see on YouTube martial artists breaking down Bruce Lee's moves, literally analysing every single part of them, you know, the 1-inch punch and some of these exercises. So I think AI in this regard is quite a good learning tool. Quite interested in that one. Now this one I hadn't thought of. virtual reality and augmented reality. AI can power VR and AR experiences that allow users to interact with a virtual Bruce Lee. Imagine training with Bruce Lee in a virtual dojo, or seeing him perform his iconic moves right in your living room. These immersive experiences can bring fans closer to their idol than ever before. Like I said, I'd never even thought of that. Can you imagine putting on a VR set so you're literally there with Bruce Lee in front of you and he's talking, teaching you martial arts or even his philosophy? Imagine this, walking around the dojo from Fist of Fury, exactly how it is in the movie, completely 360 with Bruce. Or even the pagoda in Game of Death. Imagine just having a look round 360. Would you be on board with that? To me it sounds pretty exciting. Right, the next one is voice cloning. Now this has been done quite well lately.
You want to see my side of the story on the Game of Death like never before? I will even show you exclusive deleted scenes that were omitted from the original 1978 release.
Recreating Bruce Lee's voice opens up a myriad of possibilities. For instance, filmmakers could use his voice in new movies, allowing Bruce Lee to speak new lines and interact with modern actors. Documentaries could feature his voice narrating his own story, providing a more immersive experience for viewers. Additionally, fans could enjoy interactive experiences, such as virtual reality encounters where Bruce Lee's voice guides them through martial arts training. You know, we've got the new final Game of Death. Well, obviously when Bruce talks in that, he's talking English. Would you like to hear Bruce Lee's voice? Or an AI voice recreating Bruce Lee's rather than the dubbers that are doing it? I gotta admit, I would. Also, the monk scene from Enter the Dragon. You could hear the whole thing done by Bruce Lee with crisp audio. I also think if there was a new documentary about Bruce Lee and he was narrating his own story, wouldn't you enjoy that much more? I know, it's a wild one, isn't it? Right, and finally, content creation. AI can generate new content inspired by Bruce Lee, such as animated sequences or even new fight scenes. By analysing his style and movement, AI can create content that stays true to his legacy while offering something fresh and exciting. I think trailers, adverts. I'm not sure about a new Bruce Lee movie because it might look like Bruce Lee, it might sound like Bruce Lee, it might move like Bruce Lee, but it isn't really Bruce Lee. But using AI too, you know, there was some scenes in The Way of the Dragon that was shot out of focus. There's a few errors in the movie. Now, how would you feel about them enhancing them scenes to bring them back into focus? Me personally, I would be really on board with that, because we've still got The Way of the Dragon as is. So if they went, right, we've got this technology, we're going to bring out all the detail, everything's going to be in focus, and it'll look tack sharp, why wouldn't you? It's more. It's definitely not less. And also, how about this one, right? The saw scene from The Big Boss. The elusive saw scene that no one's ever seen, or some claim they have. AI could possibly recreate that. Would you be interested in seeing it? I think I would. Rather than that odd cut where he swings the sword down, then he's doing a kick and knocking someone through the wall. I'd be curious to see it. The options are endless, they really are. Now, obviously there's ethical consideration. See, while the technology is fascinating, it does actually raise some quite important questions. Using a deceased person's image and voice can be seen as really exploitative, and it is crucial to consider Bruce Lee's family and the estate, ensuring that the use of his image or voice respects his legacy. And also, transparency. I do think this is crucial as well. I think you've got to be honest when you're using AI. If you're putting out a documentary, you need to be forthcoming and let people know the voice of Bruce Lee is not really Bruce talking, it's an AI. I think that's crucial to maintain trust and integrity. So let's have a chat on Zoom, my first. I did this finally with Steve Carriage. You know, Steve Carriage puts out the amazing books on Bruce Lee on his website, Bruce Lee Forever. Let's have a candid chat with Steve about this. Hello, Steve. Welcome to back to the Rambles. I'm very well, thank you, mate. And you know, I wanted to talk to you today about AI and Bruce Lee, really.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the basics. Obviously, over the last few years, there's been a lot of tools, certainly in Photoshop, etc., where you can enhance old images. Now, with the Genesis book that came out, Bruce Lee and My Own Process, they didn't do that. They kept them for historical record as is. What are your views on image enhancement and stuff like and restoration in general?
I think it's a good thing. Personally, I think it's a good thing because you're bringing something back to life. You know, you're going to get wear and tear. Obviously, it's a long time ago, some of these photographs. So, you know, to me, if they can rejuvenate an image, you know, I think it's great. I mean, some people they like the scratchy, old look about things, you know, but which I understand to a certain degree. It gives it that sort of vintage look, but you know, it depends what you're using it for.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, if you can rejuvenate a picture, is that the right word?
Enhance whatever.
Enhance the picture, yeah. I mean, to me, that is, that's something I enjoy doing myself. You know, done the right way.
I agree. I mean, you still got the original photo anyway.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, I mean, you know, now there's so many applications out there now where a lot of it's for your phone and stuff, where it says restore your photographs, turn them into colour, blah blah blah, and so forth. But the problem is now, every man and his dog has a go at it. You know, which ain't what's that problem. Everyone's entitled to do what they want.
Of course.
But you'll find, especially if you scroll through like maybe Facebook, for example, and you'll see pictures of different celebrities, not particularly just Bruce Lee, but it could be Elvis Presley, it could be James Cagney, I don't know, whoever it is, and then you think, wow, that's a clear picture. But when you look closely, you think, hang on, that don't look right.
Plastic,
yeah. Look like they've had they've had like a Botox overload.
Yeah, and their hair looks weird. Yeah, I've seen them myself.
All it basically is, someone puts a photograph in it and they go push, you know, and it does the photograph, comes out and go, well, that's wonderful, but it looks crap, you know, most of the time, really. So
I've seen it myself.
Yeah, you've got to know how to use the software. And there's certain levels of it you should use, and by kind of technicalities, by layering a photograph and bringing out certain elements of it that may be a bit wish-washy, or you know, so forth. You know, I've done it. I always restore photographs best I can, but I've done it in a few instances where I've had to sort of bring the sky back in a bit, where it's washed out. You know, and you're not changing the weather. You're not sort of like changing history as far as the weather forecast goes, but you might have said it's a bit washed out. So you alter the levels and you restore it as best you can.
Yeah.
You know, it can't always be done, but sometimes it can. You know, or you might have a photograph. I mean, another good example is, I mean, to me, you know, as much as I can, I use anything from our books and magazines, normally from the original source.
Yes.
You know, from a negative or from a photograph that's been scanned from the original photograph. Occasionally you use something that came out of a vintage magazine that's now defunct, you know, and you can't see nowhere else, and you might think, well, for historical purposes, you know, to go along with the actual text of the book or the magazine, you know, it's important to put that photograph in. You ain't infringing, I suppose, you know, in that aspect. And then you may have to use a photograph from a magazine. Sometimes you can clean them up a little bit, but once again, especially with that type of an image, you can't go overboard with it. It is from a magazine, you know. It doesn't really matter really, as long as it's purpose for that particular book or magazine.
So basically, you're quite on board with the idea as long as it's done correct. I mean, like you said, people can do what they want.
Yeah.
People can do what they want, but there's a lot of images. I've seen them myself. You go on Pinterest, you'll see pictures of Bruce Lee, for instance, and I'll go, wow, that looks sharp. And then you click on it, see it in its full size, and you think, someone don't really know. There's a subtle way of doing it. So you're enhancing some detail and bringing back some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, AI is a great, say AI as a general term, it is a great modern tool now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and you can get a lot of criticism because some people go, well, you know, the photograph isn't how the original photograph was. But look, if you're enhancing a photograph, that's one thing. And then you can actually animate, as you know, which I've done on advertisements and promotional stuff.
Which I personally think is fantastic.
Yeah, it's just, listen, it just sort of brings the image alive. It just brings an excitement to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. And for an advert, you're not trying to con anyone by saying this is new footage we've found.
So with footage or with photo, I mean, I was accused a little while ago by a certain person, I think we all know, that, oh, yeah, I put a fake picture on an advert and I'm conning people and the books are a con. And listen, it's an advert, it's an illustration, you know.
Right.
I really do personally. So this is my opinion. It's my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm not saying it's everyone's opinion. My opinion is that if you're doing a cover for a magazine, a cover for a book, you can put a bit of artistic flair into it. So you can maybe AI an image and get a slightly different pose if you're going to do a cover.
Yeah.
Anything wrong with that? Because to me, it's no different, as we spoke about before, with the old Kung Fu Monthlies, where you had the artist Jeff
Cummings.
You know, he'd paint a photo of Bruce with the nunchuckers, and he's got a pagoda in the background with I don't know, whoever. It's all made up. So what are they going to go and say? That's rubbish. That's not real. No, it's not real. But it's an illustration. It's art. You know, to me, it's different if you had a picture of Bruce standing next to Elvis Presley, for example, or Michael Jackson. We've seen them.
We've seen them. You know, Muhammad Ali and all of that. Seen them.
Listen, even with that, if you did an illustration where you put all the iconic people sitting around the table, I mean, there's been a painting on that, I think, isn't there? Someone sitting
with Humphrey Bogart and all that. Marilyn Monroe, I've seen it. James Dean.
In a diner somewhere or something.
That's right, yeah. That's right, the late night diner.
That's it, yeah. I mean,
it's a classic.
Yeah, definitely, you know. But you had the morons say, "Oh, that's rubbish." Blah blah blah. No, hang on a minute. It's a bit of art. So if you had a picture of Bruce standing next to John Lennon, you know, and you had like icons or so, whatever you wanted the title.
If it was done right, I'd love it.
No, would it? It wouldn't matter because it's done purely for that reason only.
Yeah.
You're not saying this is when Bruce met John.
Yeah, exactly. You're not. This is the part of it as well. I suppose there's an ethical part to it as well. You've got to be quite transparent with the whole thing, you know.
The funny thing is, I've done a couple of jokey ones I've put on Facebook and that over the years, just purely as a joke. You know, I did one of the Bruce standing by Big Ben once. You know, it was a tongue in cheek. It was a laugh. You know, the people that knew it, you know, we was laughing about it. It's funny. You know, it's just like
we've all done it. You've done a famous one of Bruce in the Mercedes, didn't you?
Well, there's a story behind that because John Little was the one that he sent me a photograph of him sitting in Bruce's Mercedes.
Wow,
nice colour photograph. And for a laugh, I changed his face. I put Bruce's head on him, you know, and photoshopped him, whatever, and it looked quite real. I mean, we knew it wasn't real, but I mean, to the average person who didn't know a Bruce Lee photograph, they go, "Oh, you know, it looked quite sort of convincing," you know.
I've seen it.
I put it out on Facebook for a laugh, and John was laughing, and we was all sort of like. And then, lo and behold, they bring out some Bruce Lee documentary called
Be Walter.
That's the one, Be Walter. You know, a serious documentary about Bruce Lee and you know, now like racism was against Bruce Lee and blah blah blah. You know, this serious tone about this, and they put this bloody photograph in there of Bruce Lee. And I thought,
something you done for a laugh.
That was on. So they've lifted it off the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people you're supposed to be taking serious. I don't want to sort of do, cause any libel cases here.
Yeah, of course.
It's like the book you mentioned, the Genesis book, and as I say, I don't really throw the criticism around, but I was shown that book, and I'm going through it, and there's a couple of pictures in that book that I colorised that I put on the internet.
That's crazy,
One
isn't it?
One of them is I think it's a full page. It's like Bruce with Yip Man.
Colorized.
I did that. So where did they get that from?
Yeah.
I mean, are they, like to me, it just shows the people behind these projects. They're not real Bruce Lee fans. They're just doing it purely for the.
There was really mixed on Amazon, especially. There's really mixed views about that particular book, because I thought the pictures, they're historic. I get all that, but I thought they weren't up to. Well, now you said the Yip Man and Bruce was colorized by you. How historic are they? Because that original photograph is black and white.
And it was done about 10, 15 years ago, and it's done quite bad, really. It was like an early attempt.
But there was some people loved it because some of the subscribers to the channel wrote to Genesis saying about that, and they said they wanted to preserve the historic documents. And there's other people reviewing it saying, this day and age, we shouldn't be seeing this stuff.
Listen, if you've got a photograph, and I've got thousands of photographs, and a lot of them, you look at them and you think, wow, they've got corners missing off of them, and they've got scratches running through someone's face, and you think, well, if I'm going to put that in a particular book or project, I'll clean it up, because you don't want to see, Bruce with John Saxon. One of John Saxon's eyes is missing because he's got a big scratch going through it. So you try and repair it. Sometimes it can't be done. Sometimes most of the time it can be done, because you're trying to make it presentable for the viewer, if you like, who's looking at the book. You've got this. If I put a picture in a book with a scratch in it, or I clean it up, it doesn't earn me any more money by putting the scratch out of it. So it's not about that.
But it is actually more work for you to do, though.
Listen, it's like I've always said, like me doing Bruce Lee books, I don't never say I'll do the best Bruce Lee books, but I'll do the best I can do. And that's what I'm concerned with. I'll do the best I can do. So if I have to spend a lot more time cleaning photographs and make sure the colours are correct as best as possible, I'll do that. In some instances, you'll get certain photographs where you think, well, do you know what? It doesn't matter so much. It's an old photograph. It might be Bruce as a child or something, in one of his films as a kid. You might think, well, do you know what? It's an old photograph. It doesn't matter too much, So there's certain times you ain't got to worry too much. But with a photograph, a lot of the time, there's certain elements that can be cleaned up and preserved and restored, should I say, that ain't necessarily down because of the damage to it. It's just like the colour's wrong or something, or it's a little bit out of focus in places. And if you can sharpen bits up, and listen, that's what they do. That's what they do. And that's the idea of it. You're presenting something to the best it can be presented.
Well, now AI can take a photograph, as you have been playing with on some of your adverts. The rooftop one still does me when I watch it. When you first showed me that, I got excitement again. It was weird. I know they was photographs, and I understand why you've done it. And I thought it was great. For an advert, that works.
No, you did. You thought it was.
No, I thought you'd found rare footage. That's right. Right, but I loved it. I thought it was great. Now there are some people complaining about it, but there are other people understanding what it is. There's a few on YouTube now floating of photographs being manipulated. Some of them have done quite badly. I mean, literally his face changes. And some are quite good. What are your thoughts on it? Obviously, you've been playing with this technology a little bit recently.
Well, it's not straightforward as what I think people believe. I mean, you can basically put a photograph into the software. There's loads of different softwares out there that do that type of a thing. Some are better than others. But you put a photograph in, and I think I showed you a few before where you got, instead of Bruce going around like this, all its technological, whatever it's got, Bruce suddenly starts waving his arms around and doing a funny dance. And you think, where'd that come from? So like, it doesn't always work. So sometimes you'd have to do, if you're trying to sort of manipulate a photograph or animate a photograph, should I say, then you could do it 5 to 10 times before you get the desired effect, I suppose you could say. So it's not as straightforward, really. Or you could be like, bang, first time. Oh, what first time?
Yeah.
It's a bit. But see, I use different methods. I don't just go straight on to the AI. You know, I work on. You know, I do a lot of editing with it as well. So
Of course.
you know, so I'm a bit OCD with that. You know.
I've seen some of your efforts. I've seen some of your work that you've done. The one that cracked me up was the Bob Baker and Bruce Lee when they're together, you know, the Lost trailer. And then they both walk out the room. That was just funny as.
Funny, yeah.
Yeah,
Where it turns into a Borak or something, doesn't it? Or something.
yeah, just. I think it's interesting though, and it's going to be amazing what it can do because it's still quite early. This technology, I think.
Of course.
What's it going to be like in 5 years, Steve? It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, well, listen, if they bring it forward to that degree, then you know what are people's thoughts on you know, a new Bruce Lee film? You know, I mean, look, Bruce Lee the image, Bruce Lee the man, it's two different things. I mean, you can't replicate the spirit, can you?
No,
You know,
the soul, yeah.
Oh yeah, but excuse me, but at the same time, you know, if you can get something that's why not? Why? As it's done as long as it's done in the correct way. You know, like I mean, look, as long as it ain't done like a Game of Death 1978 crap. You know, like, it ain't like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To me, you know, if something's going to be done, you know, it's got to be done properly. It should be done in the spirit of Bruce Lee, in the way that you'd like to think would have done himself. Maybe on his notes and his, you know, and whatever he's put down on paper. I don't know. You know, what do you do? I mean, it's endless, really. I mean, to me, I think the AI is great for short film, documentary adverts, music videos. Even I don't know. You know, I mean, to me, there's a lot of scope with it. I think it's a good thing if it's done correctly.
Yeah, because obviously, like I said earlier, there's a lot of ethical considerations you have to think about because it could be exploitative. Because obviously, you know, so you have to consider, I guess, the Lee family and all of them lot as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're now doing, you know, you can do Bruce Lee's voice now, which I think is quite exciting. I mean, myself, there was a documentary where Bruce Lee was narrating his own story and it sounded like Bruce, even though I know it isn't. I would find that, I'd love that. More talk about draw you in.
It's entertainment, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, totally that.
If the audience watching a film or documentary on Bruce Lee's life, and you know, if I was to put something together, for example, and it had, you know, a narration by Bruce Lee, but it was an AI clone voice, you know, it's different if you went, this is actually Bruce Lee telling his life story. You know, you're conning people, but it's not. It's just you're just doing an interpretation, if that's the right way of putting it. You know.
Yeah, maybe.
It's entertainment, you know. It's as long as it's done in the right way. As I'm trying to say.
And you're transparent with it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a fair bit. I've got quite a bit of Bruce audio that probably hasn't been out before, you know.
Yeah.
Which we hope to sort of like maybe put in something in the near future. That could be combined in a documentary alongside some clone stuff as well. And the way, as long as it's done the right way, I mean, thinking out loud, it'd be something like Bruce telling his story. And then when it goes on to the real Bruce Lee audio, it'd come up and say on the screen, you know, audio from blah, 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 on the date or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the audience are aware of that. You know,
it's actual. They do it in crime documentaries, Steve. They have actors playing out the role, and then it says real crime scene, and it will show you clips.
Also do.
You know, so yeah, it's interesting.
Going back to the Elvis thing, the Elvis film that came out years ago called This Is Elvis. I think it was called This Is Elvis from the early 80s, and it was basically Elvis's life story, and Elvis was telling his story. But it wasn't Elvis. It was Elvis sounding like Elvis, but anyone who's writing to Elvis can tell it's not really Elvis, but it's an Elvis-esque type voice.
Yeah.
So it's entertainment, you know. But when it came onto the real Elvis in the film, because it had clips of him for real, it was Elvis's voice. So you're mixing it, you know.
Yeah.
It was good, pure entertainment, and it was done very, very well. I don't see any problem with that whatsoever. You know,
No.
and as long as you're getting a situation where it's been used in the right way, then it's like anything, isn't it? But people will always moan and groan. No different to what people probably moaned and groaned when, well, we were talking about movies, weren't we? When silent movies went to talkies, and was it Charlie Chaplin didn't want to do talkies? You know, it was like, no, that's an amount of silent film stars, and no, that's not going to take off.
And then Al Jolson come out with the Jazz Singer.
Yeah.
And then that was it. Everyone was doing talkie films.
Yeah. So it's technology, and it moves on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It moves on. So if it's done the right way. No
what are your thoughts on VR? I mean, this came up because I asked AI questions about AI technology. So the irony right there. And I never even thought of that. Like the VR headset. Imagine having a VR headset with Bruce Lee stood in your front room teaching you martial arts even.
Oh, listen, I think it'd be great if it was done realistically. I mean,
can you imagine?
Come on, if you're a Bruce Lee fan, listen. Look at the new Elvis. I keep saying about Elvis, but look at this new. You went to see the ABBA show, didn't you?
Oh,
but like
yeah.
the hologram.
Yeah.
There's a new Elvis one coming out called the Elvis Experience.
Yeah.
Apparently, it makes the ABBA one look amateur. It's supposed to be that good.
And that is saying something, Steve.
It's like a virtual reality thing, and you actually go through your life, and he appears in front of you and performs in front of you. And to me, brilliant. You know what I mean? If you had that, imagine stepping onto the set of Enter the Dragon. If they had the technology where they took that film, it analysed the film. I mean, I'm just thinking out here, the space age stuff, but it analysed the film, turned them into 3D objects. So you're walking amongst that. Really? What? Someone's going to go? That's rubbish.
It's not real.
Well, listen, for all those people out there that don't like it,
don't do it. Yeah.
Get VHS on, sit in your little portable telly and watch Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't like it, listen, it's like anything. It's like anything. If you don't like it, don't watch it. If someone don't like one of our books, no problem. I've got a problem. Don't buy it. Don't look at it.
People love your books, by the way.
Some do, some don't. What I'm trying to say is, the point. I mean, I'm sort of joking around, but the point is, if you don't like something, you're entitled to your opinion, but don't go on about it.
Yeah.
People go on about
but you are right, though. Things evolve. Bruce Lee, even himself, where martial arts concerned, right? When everyone was stuck doing their forms and he was trying to mix it up. He was advanced. I think he'd be all on board. I mean, there's Deepfake now, which obviously, again, raises moral questions, should it be done? I think as long as it's done tastefully, I mean, it'd be quite easy to exploit, the Bob Baker stuff and the Betty Ting Pei stuff. It would be quite upsetting for the Lee family, I would imagine. But if it was done to preserve his legacy and maybe bring new audiences to Bruce Lee, I don't see there's a problem with it.
Also, people have got to chill out sometimes. I mean, all right, say for example, you've got the Karate Kid, which I'm not a fan of, but say the Karate Kid. Imagine like Mr. Miyagi, they used AI technology to turn, so Bruce Lee was Mr. Miyagi. You're going to have people go, oh, that's wrong, he's Japanese. And who gives a shit? At the end of the day, it's entertainment.
Entertainment.
As long as it's done tastefully, and it's entertainment. You know what I'm saying? But it's different if they put him into a film that was, he was playing like Fred West or something. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think you go, hang on a minute. Come on. It's just common sense, isn't it?
Mm.
So to me, I think it's done right. It's like all these technologies. If it's done correctly, there's no problem with it whatsoever.
So how would you feel? Because certain scenes from the Way of the Dragon film are out of focus. They couldn't find the original negatives. So how would you feel about AI cleaning that up and bringing that back?
Why not?
Well, that's how I feel about it, because you'll still have the original one that we've got.
Look, the film, the bits that are out of focus, Bruce didn't stand there and go to Nishimoto, right, aim the camera towards the Colosseum, but tweak it so it's out of focus. He didn't do that.
No.
To him, he wanted it crystal clear in colour. So if it came out a bit out of focus, whatever the scenes are, and suddenly VR goes bang and it's crystal clear again.
Why wouldn't you?
Of course you would. Yeah,
I'd be on board in watching it for sure.
Or if Bruce Lee was alive, he'd do it, wouldn't he?
100%.
You know, so listen, you're always going to have people with different opinions, and which is good. I think it's good in a lot of ways, because like if we was all the same, it'd be bloody boring, wouldn't it? You know.
I've said it many times on here, Steve. Opinions are like arseholes. Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
You know.
Some people got two.
Really? Yeah. So it's quite an interesting thing. I mean, we are going down that realm anyway. Like you said with the Elvis thing, the ABBA thing that I went to. I'm not even a big ABBA fan, to be honest with you. I grew up with ABBA, but it literally blew my mind. When they come out of the ground, it was ABBA at their peak. It was mind-blowing. This is a couple of years ago now, so this Elvis thing next year, the Evolution, is it, or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, the smells as well. You can smell stuff.
Apparently, yeah.
I mean, how wild is that? That's as immersive as you can ever get.
I looked at tickets. I thought, there was none available. Let's go for a £300 ticket or something. Ridiculous.
I know. That's the full experience, that one, isn't it? 300 quid a ticket. I know.
Listen, I just want to go and see the show. I don't want to go to the after party and get this and that and a lollipop. You know what I mean?
I want to have the experience.
Yeah, just go and watch the actual show. You know, but I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, brilliant. I mean, to me, do you remember the Michael Jackson one a few years ago when he one of those music awards? The audience didn't know. You can see it on YouTube. The audience apparently didn't know it was going to happen, and the compares come out and go, "Well, now we've got blah 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 Michael Jackson." They're all going dead, you know. And then the curtains open, and he's sitting on the throne, and he starts singing, and he walks. And he actually comes down the stage as a hologram, and all the dancers are dancing around him.
Oh, really?
On YouTube, yeah. I can't remember.
I'll have to have a look at it.
Hologram, you'll come up. It's really good. But once again, you know, the technology now is probably tenfold from when that was done.
Isn't it? Yeah. And it's only going to get more. It's only going to get better.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I enjoyed that little natter, mate. I did enjoy it. I think we've kind of covered it all. So we've covered the photo restorations using AI. We've used video. We've covered video and audio now.
Yeah.
And you're quite on board. I feel the same way, Steve. Like I said, as long as it's done in the right way, there's been enough exploitation of Bruce over the years. As long as it was done to lift his legacy and enhance it and bring audiences to Bruce Lee.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I mean, if I was doing a book on Bruce Lee about a certain subject, you know, a certain timeline or whatever, you know, I wouldn't personally put a book full of AI photographs. Because
of course you wouldn't.
I wouldn't do that, but I'd certainly, you know, think about if I wanted to design the cover with an AI type of an image or whatever. I'm not saying I would do that, but I don't think anything personally wrong with that because it's a cover. It's actually like an advertisement for the book, isn't it? The cover, you know.
Yeah.
So to me, that's not a problem. You could even do more so in a magazine. You could probably put more AI stuff because a magazine. I mean, for me, when I put magazines together, it's got more of an artistic license.
Of course it has, yeah.
You know, because it's a magazine, so you can put illustrations and splashes of paint and whatever else. Well, you could do that in a book, but I don't. To me, a book's more like a comprehensive type of a an experience, really.
It's interesting, very interesting.
But excuse me, that's my opinion, and that's it. You know, everyone's got different opinions. I'm not saying that. I'm right. I'm just thinking, you know, when I'm saying I'm right, but that's me saying I'm right.
No, I'm on board with it. I'm on board with it. As long as it's used correctly, and there are going to be images put out there that you look at them and you think, what is that?
Yeah.
But, you know, that I've done Photoshop stuff myself. And me personally, I look at it and I think, that actually looks better than the photo that I had before.
Yeah.
But I'm not literally just using AI. I'm like creating a layer and then bringing the AI down. So it just enhances a little detail.
Exactly, yeah. So
is that out of order?
No, of course it's not. You're doing what it's meant to do.
Yeah, exactly.
No problem with that at all.
All right. Well, thanks for your input, Steve.
Oh, you're welcome.
I really do appreciate it, buddy. And we'll speak again soon, hopefully.
I think so.
Thank you very much for that, Steve. I do appreciate it, mate. Thank you. Using AI in these ways not only preserves Bruce Lee's legacy, but it will also bring new audiences to Bruce. in new and exciting ways. As we navigate through this new technology, and it is kind of mind-blowing, we must do it with care. We have to be careful, ensuring that our advancements honour the memory and legacy of these people from the past. What do you think are the possibilities of this? Are you excited about this sort of technology? Do you think it exploits Bruce Lee's memory? Or are you on board? I'll be really interested to read your comments. I'm kind of for it, as long as we're straightforward. But I'd really like to hear what you think. Right, with that, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thanks again for that, Steve. I did appreciate it, mate. Right, yeah, I'm going to try and get all this out for Wednesday. Fingers crossed it should all be done. I look forward to reading your comments on this one, guys, because I'm kind of all for it, as long as, like I said, we're open and honest about it. But I know there are some people that are like, no, you shouldn't do it. It's happening anyway. You know, I was playing Bruce Lee's voice from Celebrity Recreations 8 months ago, and it was pretty well convincing. Anyway, right, before I go, I'd like to thank everyone who takes the time to watch the videos, comment on the videos, and give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Either way, great. All the new subscribers lately, thank you very much. And of course, my amazing Patreons. Cheers, guys. You're amazing. Right, have yourselves a fantastic rest of the week. Much love. And I'll be back with another ramble real soon. You take care now.